choose to give each domain a different label depending on its purpose. Your support message appears when your users require login assistance. You may wish to customize this message if Google does not manage your user database and you have a specific page for your users to manage their account details. In such a case, you'll want to provide a link to that page, as well as some general instructions on how to proceed and what to expect. Even if your user management is handled through Google, you may still wish to customize the default message to match the tone of your organization, which may be welcomed in the event that your users have to go through the password change process. Language and time zone establish the default settings for both your users and your domain admin console. Your choice for both should reflect what applies to most members of your organization. Apps users in your domain will have the ability to change their own personal language and time zone for their individual accounts without affecting other users. The Preferences area includes settings for new user features, new product rollout preferences, as well as communication preferences for receiving product update information. In communication preferences, you can specify which emails the admin for your domain will receive from Google. While these may be of interest, you also have the option to get much of this information through other outlets, such as the Google Workspace blog, or following specific social media outlets for various Google services. Smart Features and Personalization allows you to set the default value for features like automatic filtering and categorization, Smart Compose, Smart Reply, and other similar features in Gmail, Chat, and Meet. You may opt to not set a default value for your users, or opt them into certain features by default. Users will have the option to disable these features, and changes may take up to 24 hours to take effect. Within the Personalization section, you have the option to upload a logo. The logo appears at the top right corner in apps such as Gmail and Drive. Supplemental data storage specifies data regions which require manual opt-in for your data to be stored there. The Legal and Compliance area provides general security and privacy information, which may be required for compliance with your organization's security and privacy policies. Information here includes the location of data centers, third-party subprocessors, privacy certifications, and a general overview of workspace security policies. Also here is an area for the contact information of the Enterprise Data Privacy Officer for your organization. Data regions allow you to set policies for regions where your data will be stored. These regions may be specified by organizational unit, and Google specifies that these data region policies cover only certain core service data, and that enabling region-specific data storage may result in performance trade-offs. If you no longer wish to use Workspace, you may delete your account under Account Management, Delete Account. This will revoke access to Workspace on your domain. Deleting your account will not unsubscribe you from Google services, so be sure to cancel your subscriptions first before deleting your account. Lastly, custom URLs allow you to customize the URLs for individual Google apps. You'll need to set up CNAME records through your domain host to use this feature. Utilizing Google Workspace for your organization gives you access to many web apps and services. However, you may not want all of these apps to be available on your domain. When deciding which services to enable, consider how your business processes and procedures will mesh with the many capabilities and features of Workspace. This will reduce the chances of unexpected or undesirable surprises during implementation. There are 5 types of apps: Google Workspace Core Services, additional Google services, web and mobile apps, Google Workspace Marketplace apps, and SAML apps. You may view a summary of which apps fall under each category by clicking the respective categories, but we'll take a look at each right now. Google Workspace Core Services are governed by your Google Workspace agreement. Additional Google services are services provided by Google and accessed through a Google account, but are not part of the core suite of applications. These include, but are not confined to, Blogger, YouTube, Google Maps, App Maker, and Google Photos. Many of these have public or commercial functionality, and in turn have different privacy agreements than the standard Workspace core apps. Relatively new is the web and mobile apps area, where you can manage settings and user access for Android, iOS, and SAML apps. Google Workspace Marketplace apps are designed by third parties and can be added These are now managed in the Web and Mobile Apps area. Be sure and consult the documentation for the service for more information on how to configure them and operate within the Google Single Sign-On. While you could choose to enable all Workspace applications, you should take time to review app functionality before enabling them in your domain, and make sure that the tools that you enabled are in line with the training and process goals for your users. Additionally, you want to make sure that the privacy policy of your enabled apps complies with privacy policies of your organization. Be especially careful to review the terms of service for marketplace apps before enabling them in your domain. To manage apps and services on your domain, open the Admin console and click Apps. You'll find a quick summary of how many Workspace, Google Services, and Marketplace apps are enabled on your domain. You can click each of these categories for more details. I'm going to look at Workspace, and as you can see, all of my Workspace apps are currently set to On for everyone. This means that all users can use all apps on this list. You have the option of turning apps off for everyone, or on for specific groups of users. We'll look at enabling apps for specific groups of users or organizational units later in this course. Remember that disabling user access to certain apps means that they may not access these services while logged in with their Workspace account. This does not restrict users from accessing these apps and services while using their own personal Google account, or, in the case of apps such as YouTube, while not logged in at all. Google Workspace is a web-based service, and while Google guarantees 99.9% uptime for Workspace users, service disruptions and outages are still a possibility. It's important to know where to go for more information should you believe you're experiencing a service disruption. If the link is not visible in the right panel of your admin console, you can view the current reported status of Google's application by navigating to www.google.com/appsstatus. The Workspace Status homepage displays the full list of Workspace apps, separating those covered by the Workspace Service Level Agreement and those not covered. A dot appears to each of the apps showing its current status. Green indicates no issues. Orange indicates an unscheduled service disruption, while pink indicates a planned service outage. You may also click Older and Newer to scroll through the app status history spanning back as far as 2 months. If a service disruption does appear, hovering over the event displays the approximate time span of the disruption, and clicking on it displays detailed information. This information will include the approximate date and time in which Google first became aware of the issue, subsequent updates, and the eventual resolution, which is indicated by a green dot. The update description includes relevant information pertaining to the service disruption, which may include an approximation of the number of affected users and the effects of the disruption, which could include slow app response time, delayed updates, or possibly even an app being entirely unavailable. If a green dot does not yet appear, the issue is likely still occurring and is not yet resolved. While Google typically resolves service disruptions quickly, an extended service outage spanning several hours or in some rare cases days appears on the Workspace status grid as an extended line covering the full duration of the disruption. The Workspace status dashboard is not an automated service. Before an update can be posted, Google must be made aware of the problem and post an update. If an app does not appear to be functioning, but no notification is listed in the Workspace status dashboard, the Google support team may not yet be aware of the issue, or it may still be in the process of gathering information. If you think there may be a Workspace service disruption and an update has not yet appeared in the Workspace status dashboard, social media outlets such as Twitter can be a good source for up-to-minute information. A simple Twitter search for the affected Google app may possibly reveal other users who are experiencing service outages. Keep in mind, however, that unless this information comes from one of Google's verified outlets, Workspace status information from users on social media should not be treated as an official information source. The most reliable information will inevitably come from the Workspace status dashboard. If you are experiencing a Workspace service disruption, Google may not always be the source of the problem. Some issues may be localized on the user caused by an improper network configuration, a network firewall, or browser security settings. Whether the problem is on your end or Google's, contacting Workspace support is a reliable course of action, as Google's service and support team can either report your disruption to other users or you with information on how to troubleshoot on your end, and possibly prevent the issue from happening again in the future. Once you've set up your domain, company profile, and services, you're ready to add users. This involves creating Google Workspace accounts for members of your organization. A user's Workspace login is their full email address, including the @ symbol and domain. This differentiates Workspace users from public Google accounts. Usernames have a 60-character limit and may contain letters, numbers, dashes, underscores, apostrophes, and periods. They're not case-sensitive and may not include plus and equal signs, brackets, and multiple consecutive periods. Passwords must be at least 8 characters long, are case-sensitive, and may contain any combination of ASCII characters. To add new users from the Admin console, click Add a User in the Users area. You may also select the Users area and add new users from there. The Users area displays a list of all users within your domain. From here, you may create users, view user profiles, add organizational units, and more. We'll discuss organizational units at length later in this course. If you do not see the option to add new users, you may not have sufficient admin privileges to create them, and you'll want to consult a higher-level admin within your domain. When adding a new user, enter the user's first and last name and set a username. If you do not enter a password manually, you'll need to check the box to allow Google to auto-generate one. You may also optionally add a secondary email and phone number, which aid with account recovery. With the new user account created, you may now send the information to the user by selecting Email Login Info. Be sure to use an email address they currently have access to, and not their new Workspace address. Keep in mind that pending invitations will count against your total number of user licenses, and they expire after 30 days. You may also add multiple users at once. If you select bulk upload users from the Add User area, you can download a spreadsheet file to be filled with user data. You can then upload up to 500 user accounts at once, but smaller batches take less time to process. So be sure that all usernames and passwords correspond to Google's format restrictions, and double check to make sure that you're not attempting to recreate an existing user. Otherwise, you may encounter an error during the import process. If you have an LDAP directory, bulk creation of user accounts can also be performed through Google's Cloud Directory Sync. Google provides resources and documentation for this migration method. A system administrator should contact Workspace support for assistance. If you have supervisory or admin users, you may also wish to grant certain accounts administrative privileges, allowing them to manage other users, groups, or services. We'll dive deeper into user privilege levels later in the course. Google Workspace provides flexible options for defining and managing administrative roles for your domain. Several factors will determine the number and type of administrator roles you need. While other users may be granted access to functions on the admin console, only a super admin has access to the admin roles area. System roles grant users task-specific administrative privileges. At the top of this hierarchy is the super admin, who can perform all administrative functions. Super admin only tasks include setting up billing, assigning system roles, resetting admin passwords, and managing organizational units. Your account must always have at least one super administrator, and it's recommended you have at least 2 in the event that the other needs a password reset. Pre-built administrator roles are task-specific. For example, the user management admin's privileges are limited to those related to user management, such as creating and deleting user accounts, renaming users, password management, and viewing but not editing organizational units. The Groups admin can view but not edit organizational units and user profiles, manage group membership, and access settings, delete groups, and create new groups. You must be a super administrator to manage system roles, as it involves managing other administrators. To grant a user admin privileges, hover over the role you want to assign the user and click Assign Admin. Then, click Assign Users. In the pop-up window, type the full name of the user you wish to add to this role. Enter additional usernames to assign multiple admins. You may also assign admins to all organizations When you're done, click Assign Role. There may be situations where you need to define customized administrative roles. If you have a small support staff, you may wish to create small groups of administrative users who manage multiple tasks each, like, for example, an admin who can create and update org units but not delete them. To create a custom administrator role, click Create New Role. Give that role a name, preferably one that indicates the administrative privilege, and possibly a description as well. In this case, since I'm creating an administrator who can create organizational units, I'm going to go with Org Creator Admin. Once you've created the custom admin role, select their privileges from the privileges list. I'll select the ability to read, create, and update organizational units. I'll click Continue to see a summary of the privileges I've added, and click Create Role to finalize. At this point, I can now assign admins to this role. However, keep in mind that should you want to later delete the custom admin role, you'll need to remove all admins from that role before you can do so. Some organizations may contain smaller org units, and it could be helpful to administer users in smaller units rather than as an entire organization. If you've not created organizational units, you may want to first watch the Managing User Access video before proceeding. To assign a user management admin to an organizational unit, once you've added the administrator, look under the Organizational Unit column next to their name and click the pencil icon to change the org unit. Select a specific unit and then click Done to confirm the assignment. There are many apps and services you have the option to enable for your domain. For a variety of reasons, you may wish to manage user access to these services. Perhaps you'd like only your marketing team to have access to Blogger and YouTube, so they can manage the public web presence of your organization. Or perhaps you want to disable Google Wallet at your organization entirely, since you would rather limit purchasing to a trusted group of users. To do this, you'll need to manage which users have access to which services. This is accomplished through organizational units. Apps are enabled or disabled for specific organizational units to which users can be added or removed. While you can create or delete organizational units at any time, it's best to plan your access groups ahead of time to make it easier on your users. I've decided I'll restrict access to Blogger and YouTube to a marketing group. To do this, I create an organizational unit for the marketing group. From the admin console, I'll select Organizational Units. I'll click the plus sign to create a new org unit and name it Marketing Group, and then give it a description. If desired, I could also modify the parent organizational unit. If all looks good, I'll select Create. Next, I'll navigate to the Apps area and find Blogger, which is listed under Additional Google Services. Notice that Blogger is currently set to Off. From this list, I can only turn it on for everyone. Instead of doing that, however, I'll click on it. From this view, I can select a specific org unit to override the default service status. I'll select the marketing group, turn the service status on, and then click Override. Blogger is now enabled for only the marketing group, and its service status has been updated to Overridden. Clicking Inherit would return it to default settings, inheriting the default domain settings from trainingxyz.com. With that said, I can now add users to the marketing group, and I have two ways to do this. I can go to the user profile page and select Change Organizational Unit. Alternatively, from the general user list, I can select multiple users by clicking the checkboxes next to their icons, and then under More, select Change Organizational Unit. As mentioned earlier, you can also select organizations for users during account creation. If you plan to have hundreds or even thousands of users within your organization, you can see how it may be beneficial to map out your organizational units ahead of time, rather than shuffling them later. The user profile provides a rundown of a Google Workspace user's resource usage, access privileges, security settings, and managed devices. This is different from a user's public profile, which is editable by the user. This profile area is accessible only through the Google Admin console, though much of this information is available for the user to view at myaccount.google.com. To view a Workspace user's profile, either click the user area and browse for a specific user, or directly search for the user using the search bar at the top of the admin console. Admins can view and manage user profiles within their domain, though depending on your admin privileges, you may not be able to view certain areas linked to the user profile, such as the license and device management. The user profile area also provides general information about a user, including name, picture, email address, and account status. Below the username and photo is the last time they logged into their Google account using their account credentials. Mail storage indicates the amount of storage space used in Gmail, and the doc's own indicates how many documents this user owns in Google Drive. This does not tell you how many documents this user has access to, as many users have documents they regularly access that are not owned by their account. Below the profile information are various account actions, including resetting the user password, adding the user to groups or organizational units, as well as suspending or deleting the user account. The user information area displays information such as contact information, email alias, and employee details. Short summaries are available by default, with more information visible by clicking on the arrow in the top right corner of each block. In the security section, admins can reset user passwords, toggle two-step verification and advanced protection, or prompt a password change at the next sign-in, which may be necessary if their account is suspected to be compromised. You may also reset the user's sign-in cookies, which will trigger a currently signed-in user to have to sign in again. Also found in this area is recovery information and any security keys held. Groups shows all groups which include the user, as well as the groups they own or manage, while admin rules displays any administrative privileges assigned. Apps provides a summary of which Workspace apps and services are enabled for this user. Manage devices displays any devices assigned to the user. Licenses shows any licenses corresponding to the user's account, and shared drives displays any shared drives which include the user. There are two ways to block users' access to Google services on your domain. The first is through suspension. The user account is preserved, but the user will be unable to sign in or receive new email or calendar invitations. The user can be put into suspended status at an administrator's discretion, and manually suspended accounts can be restored at any time through the user's area by opening the user profile and removing their account from suspension. To manually suspend a user as an admin, log into the Google Workspace Admin console and click Users. From here, you can either browse for the user or search for them using the search bar. You can suspend the user from their profile page by clicking Suspend User from the left sidebar. You can also do this from the user list by clicking More at the far right of their name. Whichever method you choose, selecting Suspend User from the list of options suspends the user's account. Keep in mind that any user license fees will still apply to suspended Workspace users. Users may also be automatically suspended by Google systems for high-risk behavior that breaches Google's terms of service. These violations may include signing up for services without meeting age requirements, suspicious login activity, or exceeding data transfer limits. Gmail limits include a sending limit of 2,000 per day, an auto-forwarding limit of 10,000 per day, and recipient limits of 2,000 per message and 10,000 recipients total within the domain, as well as 500 per message and 3,000 recipients total outside the domain. Should a user reach or exceed one of these limits, their account will be automatically moved into suspended status for anywhere from 1 to 24 hours, depending on the infraction, after which the limit is automatically reset. Typically, an administrator should be able to restore an account that has exceeded data transfer limits, though it might be worth your time to investigate what activity may have triggered the suspension to avoid it happening again. If a user is no longer with your organization, you probably want to delete the user account. Unlike suspending an account, deleting a Google user account deletes all Workspace data, including email and calendar data. Administrators performing the deletion have the choice to either delete items owned by the deleted user or transfer them to another user. The user data for deleted accounts is preserved for 5 days, after which the data is permanently deleted. In that time, you may restore the deleted user's account the filter icon and choose to filter recently deleted users. Click the profile icon next to the user you would like to restore, and then click the bent arrow, which restores the account to the status it was in prior to deletion. If the account was suspended, then you'll need to remove the suspension before the account is active again. Many organizations use mailing lists to communicate with established groups of users using a single group address. A Google Groups address not only serves as a mailing list, but also enables users to share files and calendars, set permissions, and communicate using online discussion